Hi everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you my 5 best bets for tomorrow's horse racing action. Before we get stuck into that, I'll just quickly do my recap on the racing for today and how our selections went. It wasn't a bad day for us in the end. I actually, to be fair, didn't really watch much of the racing this afternoon. I only saw the Lancashire Oaks and the Prix de Jockey Club. I was having away from technology, a day away from technology today. So yeah, I've only seen the race replays this evening. But yeah, it wasn't a bad day. We would have come out on a small profit, depending on what odds you took. But our only winner of the day was Manuela de Vega. But in the end, it was a comprehensive victory. In the end, we did put her up at 2 to 1 last night, but that price quickly went. And then there was, I think it was a 30p rule 4 after her stablemate Antonia de Vega was pulled out. I'm not sure why she was pulled out, but that kind of pretty much made the race so winnable for Manuela de Vega. She pretty much brought the only group form to the table, you know. And it was quite a comfortable success for her in the end, you know, and it's a shame that the Lancashire Oaks probably wasn't the strongest renewal. We did have the likes of MBR, who won this race for John Gosden last season, holding an entry earlier in the week, but unfortunately she didn't take it up, and they're going to pursue a later race down the line for her. So yeah, Manuela de Vega, a really comfortable winner. Did go off odds on in the end, but if you did get the 2 to 1 and then you got a 30p rule 4, it's not all that bad, hey. But yeah, it's never nice when you do get a rule 4, because sometimes you don't get as much success with the profits. But it's something that happens to us all in racing. But at least we had a winner there. And then our other profits came from our 2 each way selections. Ranch Hand managed to finish in 5th place, but was advertised for 5 places at 7 to 1 last night. Ran all right, to be fair, and I think that race is going to work out quite well. You know, there was some good handicappers in there. I think it was Deja that won, was it, for Peter Chapelheim? And then you had Laffey as well for Sir Michael Stout, you know. So I think it's a fairly decent race moving forward. Probably throw up quite a few winners. And Ranch Hand, I wouldn't give up on him totally, you know. I think he's definitely going to have a nice handicap in him later in the season, but he probably wants soft ground to be seen to his best effect. And then our other selection, this is the one that really gave us the most profit today, was Power of State. Now, he drifted out to 18 to 1 each way, I saw. I think that was his final SP for Hugo Palmer and Dougie Costello. Was quite eye-catching today, travelled really strongly into the race, and at one point he looked like he might go and win, but he just didn't have that extra gear to go and win that race. But he still ran a credible, valiant effort to finish in 3rd place, and that was a good each-way bit of money there, and that meant we came out with a profit there. And then our lay of the day as well, Dean Street Doll. I thought it was quite a competitive race on paper for her for the price that she was last night, and she finished in 4th place in the end. But I think she'll have her day in the sun a little bit later down the line once the handicap mark drops slightly. She's probably a little bit high in the weights, but yeah, Dean Street Doll, she'll probably have a day in the sun later in the season. But elsewhere, we'll go through some of the bigger races. The Prix de Jockey Club, Ocean Atlantique was the nap, and to be honest with you, I thought from watching the replay he had every chance to win that race. You know, I thought Pierre-Charles Bourdeaux, he rode him exactly like he did at Deauville last time out from the front. But when he got into the position to go and challenge, to go and pull away, because he was at the front, he was leading with a couple of furlongs left to go, he just had nothing under the buzzer, and he just couldn't kick on and try and break clear of the field. And in the end, it set up for Miss Sharif for John Gosden, who, to be fair, you know, like, wouldn't have looked out of place in yesterday's derby. Not sure if he would have won, but you never know. He could have made the frame at least. But he's definitely going to be interesting to see where he goes next and what his targets will be later in the season. But he was a worthy winner. Victor Ladorum, the favourite for Andre Fabre, ran a bit of a bizarre race. He was drawn in stall 1, which isn't easy at Chantilly, and then he kind of got brought out wide, had a couple of traffic problems, and then he had a clear run on the outside down the straight, and he ran on to finish a credible 3rd place. So yeah, not sure how the Prix de Jockey Club will work out, but it'd be interesting to see what the winner does next. And also as well, Victor Ladorum, don't give up on him. He'll have probably another Group 1 potentially later on in the season, but I don't think he will want further than a mile and 2 I think he'll be a 10 furlong horse, but who knows, maybe Andre Fabre might bring him over to a race like the QE2 Stakes or maybe the Juddmonte. It'd be interesting to see if he might take on the likes of Palace Pier. That would be an exciting match, I think, but I have heard that maybe they might have a crack at the Arc, but he wouldn't be my idea of an Arc winner in my opinion. But elsewhere, now Peaceful in the Prix Diane. Now I know quite a few people might give me a bit of stick because I said Peaceful, I thought she was better than Love, and obviously she came in third place today, but I do think that was the best standard we've seen, in the fact that it was the best lineup of fillies we've seen in Europe so far for a Group 1 in the 3-year-old division. I think there was a lot of nice fillies in there, and I think the first four were the first four in the betting. I can't remember, was it Fancy Blue? I think that was the name of the horse. Adonsha O'Brien provided him with his first classic win as a trainer today, and that horse, to be fair, yeah, did show very well in the Irish Guineas last time that she probably needed to go up in trip, and she could definitely pose a threat to Love. I'm not saying she's going to beat Love, but she would definitely give her a run for her money, I think. And so would Rabbitte, could definitely give her a run for her money. Some people might just snub because she's a French horse, that she's only good in France. But that Rabbitte, there were quotes. I remember when I think she won the first week back, if I remember, at Chantilly, when French racing resumed. And there were a lot of people saying it was Jean-Claude Rouget, if the Oaks was available, would you send her over? And he was 50-50 about it. You know, it was a serious consideration, you know, and she was 16-1 after that performance for the race. So you can't say that if she had gone to Epsom and taken on Love that she wouldn't have given her at least a run for her money, or it would have maybe looked more like a race where we would have had a stronger field. I think that's my main point about Love, is that even though she did obviously put down a great performance, I would have liked to have seen her take on some of these fillies, because I think these fillies are potentially all going to be winning Group 1s again later this season. I think Peaceful ran a good race. She was a little bit in a pocket at one point, but then when she did get brought out and made for a challenge, she was plugging on quite well, and I think she'll be capable of getting a 1.5 miles. Thought she tried really hard. Alpine Star, not sure, maybe she would want a 1.5 miles. I think she gets 10 furlongs no problem, but it was a good race, and I think that was a really good renewal of the Group 1 Prix Diane, even though yes, obviously they're not doing it in quick time or whatever, but I just think that all those first four fillies are really nice horses, and they'll be contesting in Group 1s, and hopefully we can have some exciting clashes with Love later on down the season, some real races between them. If a couple of them decide to step up and trip, I think we could have some exciting clashes, and then I will be happy to admit that Love is a brilliant horse. But at the moment, I'm still having my reservations until she takes on some of the likes of maybe some of those horses, because I do think, obviously, like I've said many times, that I don't think the field yesterday was that good, and I think this was the best standard we've seen so far. And I always said that I thought the Irish 1,000 guineas, the renewal was stronger than the English 1,000 guineas. And then my shirt over time, you know, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think we're due for hopefully some good clashes if some of these fillies do decide to take on Love later on in the season, and then hopefully we can see Love as the #1 filly. She obviously does hold that place at the moment, but she would just have to beat some of these lot, I think, just to prove my doubt that I have about that performance yesterday. Because sometimes, like I said many times before, we see these horses win by big margins, but I think these first four fillies were nice horses moving forward, and I think it was the best, like I said, the Group 1 we've seen for the 3-year-old fillies this season. The other big race of the day, we did put up Deirdre in the Sandown Eclipse, and I actually thought she ran all right. She actually ran okay in the last furlong. She plugged on again, and probably the lack of a race probably found her out. She probably needed that run, and she'll come on for it massively. But won't be at all surprised if she maybe went back for a race like the Nassau. I could see her running a blinder in that, you know, keeping back against her own section A, but she's a very good filly for her connections, you know, and she definitely deserves her place in Group 1 company over here. That there's no doubt there. But yeah, Gaoth, he did prove me wrong. I know a lot of people would have liked to been backing Gaoth to take on Enable, you know, but I think he's proved today that he's more effective over the 10 furlong trip, and And fair play to him. You know, I had my doubts about him because I did think that he might suffer from his race in the Coronation Cup, because normally when he's put up a career best performance, he's normally disappointed the next start after, you know. And that was the first time today that in proper serious company. I think he had one back-to-back times once earlier on in his career, but when he's now at the top level, he's shown that he can put together two solid performances. But I think if he was maybe running in an arc, he might just find things a little bit tough, because I just think that some of these horses that are coming up over a mile and a half, they might just see it out better than him. But obviously he's undoubtedly a talented horse, you know, and he beat Enable. Not sure where we sit with Enable, you know. You like to think that she'll come on for the run, but would I want to be backing her for the King George after what we saw today? Hard to say, really. I think she would become a betting proposition maybe if she did reach 2-1 or 9-4. Not sure if bookmakers will offer that kind of price. I could maybe see them offering maybe 6-4, a price like that. Obviously, because she does have to go and prove herself in the fact for this season. Obviously, she doesn't have to prove herself what she's achieved in her career, but she has to prove herself. Is she going to get over the run she had today? Is she going to come forward? She does have to prove that if she's still at the top of her game and where we are with her, because obviously like I said before, I think she had a couple of hard races last season that might have just left the mark, especially the Arc. You know, it was a very grueling race, especially on the soft ground, that maybe didn't suit her, but nonetheless, you know, she still ran very well that day against Wolgeist, who is an absolute machine on that kind of ground. And I think Enable will be, I think she'll definitely be running very well in later races down the line, but I'm not sure. It's a big statement to say that she won't win again. I did say that earlier in the podcast. Again, another controversial opinion there. I did say that earlier in the season that I didn't think she would win again, but who knows? She can definitely run well, I think. But I think some of the horses now, some of their rivals, they might just be coming to their peaks. Like Gaia, for example, you know, coming to the peak of their careers, and maybe she's not quite at her peak anymore. But it'd be interesting to see how she goes forward. But at the moment, I probably wouldn't pick her to win the King George. I'd probably take her on again. But there's no doubt, obviously, that she could definitely still make the frame and still win the King George. But I just think that performance left us with a few question marks still about where we are with her. But no doubt, obviously, what she's achieved in her career, been an unbelievable, brilliant filly. One of the best we've seen so far in this millennium, and it'd be sad to see her when she does retire. But we don't want to see her like finishing tail off. We want to see her retiring still with a bit of enthusiasm for the game, still running well. And who knows what's going to happen with her later on down the line. But hopefully she can still turn up and run well in these kind of races, you know, and still be challenging for them. That's all we would love to see from her. But obviously we'd still want to see her win. But we just want to see her challenging for these races at a very minimum, I would say. Yeah, that's how today went, and that's just a couple of my thoughts and feelings on some of the key races we saw today. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. I spent nearly 13 minutes in this video going through the recap, but we'll get on for the tips for tomorrow. And we're going to start with the 140 at Ayr with our first tip tomorrow with Loaders Extra. Going to be putting up a quick look here for Nathan Evans and Michael Easterby. Now this horse is currently 9-1 with bookmakers at the moment, and this horse finished third at Haydock last time behind Blackheath, and Blackheath went on to win at Yarmouth on his next start, so the form line's looking quite good there. And this horse, I thought, like I said, it ran an encouraging race last time out, and it's down to a competitive mark of 87, which I think is a winnable mark for him. He's done pretty well for connections during his career. He won the Great St Wilfrid consolation race a couple of years ago at Ripon. He finished 4th at Ayr in the Silver Cup a couple of years ago, so he likes the course okay. And the key to him really is soft ground. When he's got soft ground, he's normally at his best. And he's going to have soft ground tomorrow. They've had quite a bit of rain up in Scotland, and I think they've got a little bit of rain up there tomorrow as well. So the conditions should be perfect for him. The form of his most recent run is good. He won at Chester, like I said, last year on soft ground. And I just think a 9-1 with 4 places, that represents a good bit of each way value. And he's going to be my opening tip of the day. I can see him running a really good race tomorrow, and I think he will definitely go close. So that's going to be my tip there. We then go with my next best, which runs in the 3 o'clock at Uttoxeter. Good jumping card there tomorrow by Summer Jump Standard, and we've got the summer play, I can't remember the name of the race now, the listed chase anyway, over 3 miles. I've got a tip in that in the next race, so that'll be my next selection. But yeah, in the 3 o'clock at Uttoxeter tomorrow comes my next best with a horse called Jimmy Rabbitte. This horse is trained by Dr. Richard Newland, and Sam Twiston Davis has put for the ride. Now, Dr. Richard Newland normally does very good in the summer jump season. He often has plenty of winners. He's normally up there with the likes of Dan Skelton as the winning most trainer in the summer period, and it's only a matter of time surely before his yard get going. Now, this horse has done all right for him since he's been with him. 3 wins from 9 starts, and most of his best form has come on good ground. Now, he is going to be running over 3 miles tomorrow, which for some people might be of a concern, but it's not a concern for me. I think it's interesting that they're going to start him here, because they actually did start him at Worcester last year, and he was favourite for that race when he ran over 3 miles at Worcester. But like I said, he just blew up, and I think they was expecting a good run, but that shouldn't be an issue, because if you actually look at his pedigree, especially on the dam side, that he's got plenty of stamina. He's related to some 3 mile horses on the dam side of his pedigree, so that shouldn't be an issue. And he's rated 121, and I think that's a fair mark, and he can run okay fresh. And there's a few horses in here that I have serious doubts about whether they're exposed. Do they have an attitude for the game? Are they still reasonably well handicapped, you know? Are they going to be forward? But we know Dr. Richard Newland's horses come very well in this period, and I just think 13-2 tomorrow, he's a good price. I'm just going to back him for the win. He could either blow up or win, but I think he represents a good bit of value there, and if the money's down tomorrow, I could see him potentially nearly going off favourite. I think he's got a good chance of going very well tomorrow, so that's going to be the tip there. We then go to the listed chase, the listed marathon handicap in the 3:30 at Uttoxeter, and I'm going with Boranha here for Brian Hughes and Peter Niven. Now, this horse has always threatened to win a really big stay-in handicap. He's won a couple of these regional nationals. He won the Durham National at Sedgefield a couple of years ago, and he can be very competitive off his current rating, off the mark of 130. He was rated up in the high 130s, but he's down on a good mark now, and he can go well fresh, and the key to him is good ground, you know. If you actually look back through some of his form, like I said, he's run really well in these stay-in races before, and he ran well at the course here last year when he finished 4th in a Class 2 handicap, and even though it is a Class 2, that was a really strong Class 2, and he wasn't beaten too far. I see him being held out the back and then coming with a good challenge, and I think at 12 to 1 with 4 places on offer with some bookmakers, that does represent a lot of good value. And for me, I think he's got a good chance of going really close tomorrow. Again, like some of the others in here, this isn't the most strongest edition of this race we've seen. Obviously understandable for the reasons of the coronavirus, obviously, with a lot of horses not being able to be prepared for this race, but still, it's not the worst renewal. No, you've got some good horses. Neil Mulholland's doing fine, is running in this race tomorrow, and you've got the likes of Bandsman, who you do have to respect for the connections, but I just think they might need the run, and some of them have stamina doubts as well. But this horse won't. We know he'll stay. He's on a fair mark, and at 12 to 1, I think he represents a good bit of each way value, so he's going to be my long shot for tomorrow, and fingers crossed he can run really well for us. We then go my nap, which runs in the 5:15 at Windsor with a horse called Amplify for Jason Watson and Brian Min. Now, this horse ran a really eye-catching race at Kempton last time out, or 2 starts ago I should say, when he finished in 5th place, and he then went to Windsor last time where a good run was expected. He was quite prominent in the betting, but that was quite a good race for the grade. And he was upset in the stalls, and he ran okay for a long way, but then he just got tired at the end, and that was over 6 furlongs, and dropping back to 5 shouldn't be an issue for him at all. I think that will see him to good effect, and Brian Meehan's horses are running well at the moment. They're operating at a 21% strike rate, and this horse is currently 13-2 with bookmakers at the moment, and he's won at the course and distance here before on quick ground, so it shouldn't be an issue for him. And I just think this race is a bit more winnable tomorrow, even though there are some good rivals for the grade. You know, I think off a mark of 88, he's still well treated, and he could run a big race tomorrow. So I think Amplify, he's been showing the signs that he's been in the winning mood of late, and I think at 13-2 he represents a good bit of value there, and I'm not going to recommend him each way. Again, he could either win or blow out like car next best Jimmy Rabbitte, but I think at 13-2 I'm willing to take a chance there at that price with just a win only bet, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if he goes really close for the win. So that's going to be my tip there in the 5:15 at Windsor. My late of the day comes in the 6:30 at Thirsk Thirsk with Moretti for Lewis Edmonds and Lezer. Lezer's stable haven't been in great form at the moment. They haven't had a winner yet, but this horse, to be fair, was in some people's eyes an unlucky loser at the track last time out when she finished in second place. But my concerns with her is the yard form and the fact that she's rated 55, and she's never won off a mark this high before. And you've got some nice horses in this race for the grade that could improve. You've got the likes of Junior's Dream, you've got the likes of Great Kalachi, who won last time out, and there's a few others in here from some good yards for the region. You know, you've got some big names that often turn up and do well at these Yorkshire tracks, like the likes of the Easterbees, the Ben Haslams, you know, of this world, you know. So it's not going to be easy for this horse tomorrow, and I just think you can currently let it for 4.8 on the Betfair exchange. I think this horse is quite vulnerable tomorrow, and I think it might drift out. I don't think it'll be that well supported. So if you can get like a good price if you decide to lay it, then definitely I think it's got a good chance of not living up to expectations in the market as it currently stands. And I would like to side with something else. But if you don't want to bet on the Betfair exchange, maybe it's worth taking on this favourite, because I think it's a vulnerable favourite in my opinion tomorrow. So yeah, they're the 5 best bets for tomorrow's race in action. Hopefully we can have some winners. Just quickly recap. In the 140 at air, we go with quick look at 9 to 1 each way with 4 places. We then go with my next best, which is Jimmy Rabbitte, currently 13 to 2, win bet only in the 3 o'clock at Uttoxeter. In the 3:30 at Uttoxeter, we go Brian Boranha, 12 to 1 each way, 4 places. We then go with my nap, which runs in the 5:15 at Windsor with Amplify for Jason Watson and Brian Meehan, currently 13 to 2 for the win bet only. And then my lay of the day comes in the 6:30 at Thirsk with Moretti. You can currently lay it on the Betfair exchange for 4.8, and I think, like I said, she's a bit of a vulnerable favourite tomorrow. So they're my 5 best bets. So if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe on my YouTube channel for more videos. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do as well, where my handle is at LuckyLoaders15, and you can find out a bit more about myself for a full portfolio of my work, where my website is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So that's all I got to say. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.